Imagine you're 6 years old and you were in West Africa. You watch your mother, a choreographer, a theater director, move through the world with joy and purpose. And you think, that is what I want to do. That is what I want to be. Now imagine that 6-year-old girl grows up to perform at the Olympics, to sing at the reopening of Notre Dame Cathedral, to win 5 Grammy Awards and hold a Guinness World Record. Her name is Angelique Kidjo. And Africa has never sounded more powerful than her voice. Angelique Kidjo was born on the 14th of July 1960 in Ouidah, Benin, a small West African nation with one of the most spiritually and culturally rich histories on the continent. Ouidah is one of the historic capital of the Voodoo tradition, the origin of what the world knows as voodoo, a city where music, spirit, and identity are inseparable. This is where she comes from. Her father played the banjo. Her mother was a choreographer and a theater director. She was performing with her mother's troupe by age 6, not as a cute child joining in, but as a real performer. By the time she was a teenager, she was fronting her brother's rock and R&B band. By 20, she was already a professional singer. Now listen to this mind-blowing fact. Her full name is Angelique Kapaseloko Hinto Onsino Kanjo Manta Zogbin Kidjo. Every part of that name is a thread connecting her to her Beninese heritage, her family, and her ancestors. She carries her entire lineage in her name, and she carries it onto every stage of the world. And in 1983, at just 23 years old, she made one of the most courageous decisions of her life. She left Benin, her home, her language, and her comfort, and moved to Paris. Not to disappear into the Western culture, but to study it, to master it, and to use it to amplify Africa's voice to the entire world. Now, I want to talk about something that is very core of who Angelique Kidjo is. Because she's not just a singer, she's a cultural ambassador, a bridge builder, a living proof that African identity is not something you leave at the door when you enter the world stage. It is a thing that opens the door. She sings in 5 languages: Fon, French, Yoruba, Gen, and English. 5 languages. And she didn't stop there. She created her own personal musical language. Words that exist only in her songs, sounds that are purely, originally hers. One of those words is Batonga. It became one of her foundation. It means something deeply personal to her, a word born from her own creative spirit. She uses a traditional Beninese vocal technique called the zilin, a centuries-old style of singing passed down through generations in her culture. She took this ancient sound and wove it into a Grammy-winning album heard by millions across the globe. The ancestors of Benin are literally singing on international stages through her voice. Her music does something that very few artists in history have pulled off. It takes jazz, funk, hip-hop, gospel, Latin rhythms, Brazilian samba, Caribbean zouk, and grounds all of it in the soil of West Africa. She doesn't borrow from those genres, she absorbs them and transforms them the way Africa has always absorbed the world and given it back something greater. As the New Yorker puts it, she is a towering figure of cross-cultural music. That is a compliment, and that is a fact. Now let me share some things about Angelique Kidjo that you probably don't know, because even people who love her music don't always know the full scale of what this woman has done. She holds a Guinness World Record, 5 Grammy wins in the Best Global Music Album category, more than any solo artist in history. Not just the most African wins, the most wins, period. She is the most decorated global music artist in the Grammy Award has ever known. In July 2025, she was announced that she will become the first Black African artist to receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The first in the entire history of Hollywood, an artist from Ouidah, Benin, walking where no African had ever walked before. She performed at the opening ceremony of the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, singing Imagine alongside John Legend and Keith Urban. In front of a global audience of billions, one voice from Benin represents the conscience of humanity on the world's biggest stage. In 2024, she performed at the opening of Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, one of the most watched events in modern-day history. Her voice was chosen to mark the rebirth of one of the world's most sacred buildings, an African woman's voice consecrating a French cathedral. That is power. She founded the Batonga Foundation, entirely dedicated to the education of adolescent girls across Africa, because she understands that her voice alone is not enough. The next generation of African girls needs their own voice, and she is building the path for them to find it. She collaborated with Pharrell Williams at a concert in Vatican City in 2025, and the session led to 3 original songs together. Pharrell called her. Yes, she said yes. And then she made him come to her artistic vision. That is how Angelique Kidjo works. The world becomes her. Now listen. Harry Belafonte, one of the greatest artist activists in history, said about Angelique Kidjo that she was using her work to grow fame to change the way the world perceives Africa. Think about that for a minute. Not just changing music, changing perception, changing the story. That is a different kind of impact. She became a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador in 2022, the first African woman to be ever appointed to that role. She has used that platform to fight for children's rights, girls' education, and healthcare across the continent. She was named one of the most 100 influential people in the world by Time magazine, one of the 100 most inspiring women in the world by The Guardian. Forbes called her the most influential woman in Africa. But what strikes me the most is this. She has collaborated with Carlos Santana, Peter Gabriel, Alicia Keys, Philip Glass, Bono, Yo-Yo Ma, Burna Boy, artists from every corner of the world, every genre, every generation. In every single collaboration, Africa is present. She never disappears into someone else's sounds. She brings her own world into theirs, and they are always richer for it. Listen to this fact. 18 albums across 4 decades, 5 Grammy Awards, a Guinness World Record, named by the BBC as Queen of African Music, Amnesty International's Ambassador of Conscience Award in 2016, the United Nations Champion of the Earth Award in 2011, and in 2025, the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a career that has never stopped growing. Angelique Kidjo started singing at 6 years old in Benin. She never stopped, and today she holds a Guinness World Record, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and the admiration of the entire planet. Not because she chased the world, but because she stayed true to where she came from, and let that truth pull the world toward her. She once said, "I want people to feel happiness when they hear these songs, but more than that, I want them to remember that we are all connected and that we were put here to help and love each other." That is not a musician talking. That is a mother, a daughter of Benin, a daughter of Africa, reminding the world of what it means to be human. We celebrate Angelique Kidjo because her story is proof that your culture is not a limitation. It is your greatest asset. Your language, your roots, your people are not things to hide when you walk into the world. They are the very things that make the world stop and listen. She is the queen of African music, and the throne was always hers. If this moves you, share it. Someone needs to hear this story today. We'll see you in the next one. Stay safe.